Yeah, I think unfortunately, man, a lot of men would rather be miserable than vulnerable. And
Rewind.
Hey, let me sit over here. I don't want to sit by him.
a lot of men would rather be miserable than vulnerable. And what I mean by that is a lot of us suffer from the I'm cool syndrome. I'm good syndrome. When in reality, we know exactly what it is that we want from you, and we be hoping that you figuring it out one day instead of us just sitting you down and saying, look, baby, I need this from you. And a lot of women, especially a woman that's in a relationship, a woman that loves you, if you're able to have that kind of open communication, say, baby, I need, again, not want, not would like, not possibly, I need this from you. She gonna make it her mission to meet you there.
So I heard this and it gave me a few thoughts. The first thing I want to say is I can't thoroughly go in on this because I don't have the context of the question that was asked. I can only go off what he's saying. So that's what we're going to do. Now, what he said was that everybody thought was a bar is that men would rather be miserable than vulnerable. And we're going to dive into that, but I'm going to start with an opening statement. The thing that he left out that most dudes know is that if you are vulnerable, that could lead to more misery. Let me say it again. You putting yourself in a vulnerable position with a woman could actually lead to misery. That is the thing that he leaves out, because when you look, and we're talking about a relationship because that's the context he's talking about. And you can say, well, you need to pick better and all. You can say all that stuff. But listen, when he gets to the end, he just has such good faith that the woman you chose to be with is just going to be this excellent, she's just going to, bruh, she's going to hear your vulnerability. She's going to hear what you're saying. And she is going to try her best to accommodate you. And she's going to blah, blah, blah. Like, he thinks that she's going to step up to the plate and everything is going to be good. She's not going to hurt you. Do I have to even go into, because I know you know, do I have to even go into how many times men give women some sensitive information? They let them know something sensitive about themselves. They open themselves up. They be vulnerable to their women. And then when it comes time to have a heated argument, it gets thrown back in your face. Do I really have to flesh that out? Do I really have to give you 17 examples? You've heard this over and over and over and over again from man after man after man after man. I can almost guarantee you've experienced it at some point in your life, especially if you're 30 plus. Can almost guarantee that you experienced this personally. So if so many women are like this, that becomes a stereotype. How are we just going to approach and these are women that men actually thought, this is a woman that I care about, that I wouldn't do this to, that I'm actually with. So let me open up to her and tell her certain things and and all that. So if this has become a stereotype with women that men trust, how are we just going to just blindly say, oh, your girl is just going to begin to, step in and do what she's supposed to do to meet your needs? How do we say that? How do we confidently say that? The other thing he says is, what you need. And I'm trying to figure out what you would need because what you would need from a woman that you would have to expose yourself in a vulnerable way to get it. Your mom died and you need a shoulder to cry on and you need her to hold you down or something. I'm trying to figure that out. I can't put that together in my head. Do you have erectile dysfunction and you got to have a vulnerable conversation? I'm not going to lie. If you're in a relationship with her, she already knows that. And the way things go now, you're going to have whatever sex you have before a relationship. So in my mind, I can't figure out where the vulnerability about what you need would come in. I can't figure it out. Do you need because I need space sometimes. Like, I don't think me asking for that, because that's something I need, that's not vulnerable. So I can't think of a need that would expose a vulnerability. Like, what would the need be? I need you to be more affectionate. I need you to rub my scalp when I go to sleep. Like, I need you to, like, I can't, like, let me know in the comments if you can think of some, because it's like, I really tried to pause this and sit and think, and I can't come up with anything. And after watching it again, after pausing it, he says, dudes suffer from the I'm good, I'm cool syndrome. Only thing I can think in this instance, when a guy would say I'm good, I'm cool, and he's not good, he's not cool, is where he has something emotionally going on with him that is bothering him. And I could give examples like, he's stressed out about work. He has a boss that is an extreme dickhead or something along those lines. Or he's having trouble trying to figure out what to do with his life. Or he's got a dentist appointment coming up and he's afraid of the dentist. Things of that nature. Those types of I'm cool vulnerability. This is the thing, man. And you see me say this in the other video, and I did a video around this where, when it comes to, the guy said, when it comes to men's emotions, they are useless. I don't agree 100%. But the thing is, I understand why he said that, because you got to think about it. That guy and this guy, they are from two completely different schools of thought. They have two completely, I can't even speak to this guy's experience because he might be capping. You're on a stage with a mic. You know how that should be, man. You know how that should be. Steve Harvey be grifting for the bread, right? So, like, you can't, when you see a dude on a stage with a mic talking to women about relationships, you can't just assume that everything is coming from a genuine place. You actually got to assume the worst. You got to assume that he's a charlatan and he's just doing this to get their money. Same with his podcast, because he's not even a part of that crew. I know that. He has his own thing where he talks about relationships as far as a podcast. But either way, it's monetizing, pandering, So I'm not putting that on him heavy, but I'm just saying you have to assume that when you see a guy with a mic, because if you just take everything he's saying as gospel and everything is real, it's like, bruh, they typically never have good intentions, just intentions of getting money. That's what it be. But anyways, all that aside, as far as those situations that I laid out, this is the thing that people like him will never be real about, and never just, they'll say, well, you need to find another woman or something like that, or they'll just say that's not true because that's what the women want to hear and that's going to cater to the women. But this is the thing. Women punish men for weakness. Vulnerability is weakness. I've said this in previous videos. I've seen women say, my guy can vent to me just a little bit. But if he complains too long, it's going to begin to bother me, and I'm going to begin to throw solutions at him or ask him, well, what you going to do to solve it? Because I'm not trying to hear you complain too much. They're going to think that you don't have everything under control. They are going to feel like your leadership is bullshit. Now, again, I'm kind of assuming what he's talking about based on what he's saying, because I don't know the context of the question she asked. Because you heard me say I can't think of a situation, but I just thought of a few after I heard more of what he said. So with that being said, I'm not going to drag this too long. But the one point that I know from that statement that he said at the beginning is being vulnerable doesn't just automatically lead to your girl wanting to cater to you, wanting to like accommodate your needs or whatever the case may. It just doesn't naturally lead to that the majority of the time. This is the thing about this like female nature shit. If you don't believe it, go against the shit that is being taught within these spaces. Because this is the thing. some dudes get, and this is what happened. When people typically find this space, it's more mainstream now. But when you find this space, it's because you've been having some type of problems or you wanted to solve a problem, whatever the case may be. And by the time you get here, you hear a lot of shit that relates to your actual experience. So it's hard for me to think that you made it here and you don't have certain experiences. But if you think this is bullshit, forget what I'm talking about. Forget debating with me. Forget getting in the comments. And let me tell you, if you're a woman and you listen to this, I don't give a fuck what you say. I'm not gonna lie. But when it comes to men, you try, because some of you gonna have one woman, some of you gonna have 5, some of you gonna have 50. Try this with your girl. Try vulnerability. Try, if you have a need and you think she has to fulfill that need, and it's an emotional need where you feel yourself about to say, I'm good, but you're not, why don't you be vulnerable then? Why don't you make it a habit of just being vulnerable and telling her, like, this is what I need from you. I need you to listen to me complain and then just shut the fuck up and not tell me solutions. I need you to do that. And then just complain to her all the time. And just tell her, no, I'm not good. I'm actually very afraid. I am very uncertain. I am very angry. I am very stressed. I don't know what I'm going to do. You tell her that. And then you let me know how. You come back to this video in 3 years and let me know how being a very vulnerable man who communicate, because the whole oh man, we expect her. No. The most I'm gonna tell you is, look, I'm stressed out. I need you to chill the fuck out and don't add to that shit. That's it. That's not being vulnerable. That's being like, listen, I got enough shit stacking up. I don't need you adding on to it. So you be good. And I ain't gonna lie. That's a whole nother topic. Like, I'm not gonna lie. It'd be so, as a single man, even when you're not dealing with bitches, you got enough shit on your plate. And then a bitch got the nerve to come into your life and be disruptive. I don't tolerate this shit, bro. I don't. I will get a bitch out of here fast. But I've made my point. What he said sounds good. Guys would rather be miserable than be vulnerable. It sounded so good. You heard the snaps. You heard, woo! The crowd went crazy. But what he left out is a vulnerability could lead to more misery and pain. That's what he left out. And what he replaced it with is, your girl, if she loves you, she is going to do the best that she can to, bruh, a chick could love you and think that you fucking weak. I got a video on here where a chick really loved her dude. She really loved her dude, and she actually committed to him. But he would just never step up to the plate. He would never step up to the plate and lead the way that she wanted to be led. So she left him. So much for being vulnerable. I'll catch y'all.